Good evening and welcome to Taking Stock from a place called Carlfontein, which is just, and these chickens are going to jump out, they were just born this morning. These day-old chicks are part of a breeding program run by Africa's biggest chicken producer, Astral Foods. Astral Foods has got two main sources of income. Chickens, which have an average life expectancy in South Africa of about 31 days. Within a month, these will weigh 1.7 kilograms and be ready for slaughter and to go into the food chain. It also produces animal feeds. Now, Chris Schutte is the chief executive of Astral Foods. These are very lively birds, Chris Schutte. I mean, these guys were born this morning. They hatched this morning in your incubators here, where you've got some 5 million eggs that will hatch over the next month.
Bruce, exactly that. This is our bigger hatchery in the group. It's also the biggest hatchery on the continent. At any point in time, we hatch, we place 6 million eggs here, and we hatch approximately 300,000 of these chicks a day to be placed on various broiler farms where they are reared and eventually through a processing plant going to the market.
I mean, South Africa's got a massive appetite for poultry, chicken being the cheapest animal protein that you can get. I'm going to watch my slip catches and see whether or not I'm any good at it, these little guys jump. But we consume, as South Africa, some 26 million chickens a week. It's like 1 billion chickens a year are consumed by South Africans.
So our per capita consumption is close on 40 kgs now. We produce locally about 19.2 birds a week in South Africa, and then we import about 8 million, or the equivalent of 8 million. So 26, 27 million chickens a week consumed. So it's approximately half a chicken per person if you work to the 58, 60 million odd people in the country. So it is the primary meat protein source and also the preferred source of protein.
I mean, a lot of people say it's not preferred, it's just because it's cheap. And in getting it to be a low cost comes with extraordinary efficiency. And I mean, I mentioned in the introduction that these day-old chicks, this little bird has got a life expectancy, if I don't drop it, of 31 days. I mean, it's a breeding program that is second to none. I mean, in terms of efficiency and global standards, where do you rank on the global stage?
We've got 4 generations of chickens in South Africa, from the grandparents up to what you see here now. So this is the offspring of 4 generations ago. We are part and partner of a worldwide group called Aviagen. This is the Ross breed, and the offspring of that, which is now recognized as the #1 market share leader in the world on broiler chicks. Efficiencies, we measure everything in the poultry industry, and especially in Astral. It's part of our strategy, a very simple strategy: produce the cheapest kilogram of white meat every second of the day. So efficiencies are a very integral part of our business. There's also a university in Holland that do annual or biannual surveys of efficiencies around the world. And from a farming efficiency point of view, feed conversion and a performance efficiency factor, which is a combination of a number of things, we rank in the top 10% in the world.
A lot of people are highly skeptical of massive breeding programs like this. I mean, this is the biggest hatchery in Africa. And you are producing, there's the slip catch again, you are producing nearly 5 million of these birds a week, these chicks. Talk to me about breeding. Talk to me about the dinner table conversations that happen around the allegations of hormones in the food chain.
That's one of those myths, and I think it's been around for 100 years, and it will be here for another 100 years. We work on genetic selection, and
so not genetic modification, because genetic modification is messing with the DNA of genetic material. This is genetic selection. So
selection.
You want bigger wings, you produce a particular type of bird. You want bigger drumsticks, a particular type of bird. In the United States, they like breast meat. You produce chickens with bigger chicken breasts.
Well, exactly that. No interference with DNA. So it's like selecting for horse races. You take the best strains and you put them together the same year. That selection gets done with a very intense program in Scotland, where the geneticists worked on selection, and they can also split it up for various countries. If you a country in need of bigger breast meat or bigger thighs, they can select for that over a period of time, and eventually the net result is what we see a bit more of a balanced bird for Africa, because we eat everything. There's no one specific preferred part of the bird that our consumers are.
And what about the hormones question? Because people are astonished, and I'm astonished still, that one of these little day-old chicks is able to grow from this size to a 1.7 kilogram slaughter weight within 31 days. It doesn't sound natural. It doesn't seem natural.
Well, it's perfectly natural. Not long ago, about 20 years ago, it would have taken us 40 days to get to your target weight of approximately 1.8 kilograms when you process the bird. We're now at approximately 32, 33 days. And that's all been done through genetic selection. Just imagine if you want to apply a hormone to, at any one point in time, Astral housekeep 35 million birds. How do you apply it? You know, just the vast size and shape of the industry. And then hormone is a long-term process. These birds get processed within 32 days. So there's a lot of myths about it, and it's all unfounded. And we can emphatically state that there are no hormones.
What is the journey of these birds? I mean, these birds were hatched here at Kaalfontein this morning. They go in these crates, they get stacked on top of each other, they go into the trucks, which are parked just over there, and get delivered then to broiler farms. What is that process from there?
So on the broiler farm, these chicks would arrive day old like this, approximately 40 grams in weight, body weight. And the key thing is to get a perfectly balanced diet into its little beak in the first minute it arrives on the farm. And then obviously from there on, it's a combination of good nutrition, different feeding programs, and selection. It's got a lot to do with your light programs, your ventilation, and nutrition management. And at approximately 32 days, they get moved onto another truck system, off to a processing plant, and from there onwards it goes into the market in various formats. It's also, I think, important to know, in South Africa we consume the whole of the bird, not just parts of it like in Europe, where they take the breast meat and would dump the rest of it.
I want to talk about that dumping issue in just a second, because if South Africa produces 19 million of these chicks a week and is slaughtering 19 million at the other end of the chain, and we consume 26 or 27 million, it means that there are 7 or 8 million birds coming into South Africa every week to satisfy consumer demand, to take it up to that 1 billion odd chickens that are consumed in South Africa every year. We're going to talk to Chris Schutte about the issues of dumping. Also, you would have seen in the news recently the Lekwa municipality, this town of Standerton, municipal services virtually collapsing. We'll touch on that coming up later on in the show, and ask Chris Schutte why he's planning to sue the country's brand new president. All of that still to come on Taking Stock.